Howdy, hi, hello. My name is Nene, and welcome to the third episode of Biz Chill. I'm so excited. So today we're starting on chapter 3. If you haven't listened to my last episode yet, I really recommend you do that. So let's get straight into it. So chapter 3 starts when Mr. Sam Walton is forced out of his thriving Ben Franklin store in Newport, Arkansas. He grew his sales from $72,000 when he got it to $250,000 a year. But his landlord, who owned the land his store was sitting on, refused to renew his lease after the 5 years was complete, and he forced Sam to sell it and start over. So he learned the hard way about the risk of not owning his business location, which he would later remedy by getting a 99-year lease instead, which I think it's a way to deal with that. But this is very important because this touches on the concept of controlling your key resources in your business. Because if you don't, this could happen. Whether it be with ingredients, whatever, but it could happen. But setbacks can also lead to new opportunities if he stays resilient, which he did, because of course Walmart exists. He has to move on and choose a new store, and he went around and he chose a small town with a population of 3,000. It's called Bentonville. It was closer to Mr. Sam's wife, Mrs. Helen's family, and his favorite quill hunting spots. And Mr. Sam wanted the competition, so the town already had 3 variety stores. But he loved the challenge, and he wanted to prove that he could succeed again. So this shows that he thinks that competition will fuel growth, or at least we can take away that competition will fuel growth because you're pushing yourself to not lag behind them. And that is very important when you're in like a business like retail, because there's a lot of stores, right? There's a whole bunch of people you have to compete against, local stores, the big brands, and sometimes it's very hard to stand out. So putting yourself against competition could help you think of ideas to help you stand out. He bought a store in Bentonville, and then he doubled its size by negotiating again a 99-year lease on the neighboring barber shop. So by then he was ready to start making his store. His friend Charlie Bond moved in the fixtures themselves. So when he started making his store, he decided he would go full self-service, because he read about self-service stores, two Ben Franklins, in Minnesota, and he rode a bus all night to go see them. And he brought the idea to Bentonville. His store became one of the first self-service variety stores in like the whole region, which is crazy because it's very weird to think that self-service stores weren't a thing until 70 years ago. I always thought it went way farther back than that because I wasn't sure how else you would do it. I guess you would just you'd go to different store for different things like butchers, dairy farmers, but or you'd like get like the employee to get the stuff for you, but that always seemed a little bit nonsensical to me. So it's very, very new, apparently. He saw it was customer friendly and efficient. Um, so he copied the idea, which isn't always a bad thing. So it's imitation. We can see that it worked out well for him. It's not an original idea, but it also worked out really well for him. So in business, if you see a good idea, maybe think of adapting it to your business. Mr. Sam was known for his friendliness. Obviously, that's something we established in the last chapter. He yelled greetings from a block away. Again, in the last chapter, he also did something similar, but it was greeting people he didn't know. He tried new products like Zori sandals. Um, I can't. They're just sandals, I guess. They look nice. They're called toned Japanese sandals made of rice straw, cloth, lacquered wood. So basically, it's just sandals. And everyone doubted that they would sell. But they did, and they sold out quickly. He sold them for 19 cents a piece, and they flew off the walls. He believed that personal connection and experimentation would attract and keep customers, and he was right. And he tried a new thing, which someone doubted that wouldn't sell, so it's always nice to experiment. He would later start to expand to new towns, so he quickly opened more stores, including a one tiny one in Fayetteville. and he challenged bigger competitors. He wanted to avoid putting all his eggs in one basket, if you know that saying, after his Newport rodeo. So he wanted to diversify his business and reduce risk. After that, he started hiring people since he probably can't be at multiple stores at once. So he went out and he hired Mr. Willard Walker as his first ever manager. He offered him a share of the profits instead of a big salary. This approach contributed to attracting ambitious entrepreneurial people. So he couldn't pay any high wages since they were they were pretty small stores. But he wanted motivated partners, so he offered to share the success to motivate his people. After that, Mr. Sam tried to open a shopping center. So he tried to become a shopping center developer, but he failed sadly, and he lost a whopping $25,000. This is not technically not his first loss, but it's $25,000. That's a lot of money. He learned a valuable real estate lesson because he was probably in the wrong place since he wanted to innovate, but he was a little bit too early for the market. So this is the concept of fail fast, learn fast, and adaptability. Basically, mistakes are valuable if you make them early, preferably, and then you have to learn quickly from them and move on. So, for example, the other day, I had my computer on my desk, and I had a bottle of soy sauce. I sure hope you know where this is going. I accidentally spilled the soy sauce onto my keyboard. And while my keys are less than pleasant, I learned from it that I should keep any salty food away from my keyboard now. So, yeah, it's just mistakes are valuable if you learn from them. So, we're moving on to when his stores are growing. Mr. Sam Walton bought a cheap plane to travel between locations, which is a crazy thing to say because I don't think planes are very cheap. Um, he loves to fly. He talks about flying a lot in his book, and you can just see he has a passion for flying. He would later take these kinds of planes on like trips to go see other stores. It's very cool. It would also help him manage more stores. His family thought it was risky, but it worked out since he needed to be efficient and he had to be hands-on as his business expanded. So this is just efficiency and scalability. And finding ways to save time as your business grows is very important. Since the business world is always like moving and adapting. Um, he would buy a few more plates later on in the book, I think, but they were always secondhand and they were always cheap. Though I don't know how cheap a plane can be. Yeah, that just seems very crazy to me. Let me ramble on this. Like a plane, like when the ones celebrities have, I hear them going for millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars. So I want to know what kind of planes these were if they were like cheap, so to speak. But that's out of the question for now. So he started reinvesting his profits. So profits went from one store funded new stores. Family members and his managers could invest, and sometimes with just their paper route money. His managers eventually became partners, and they shared both risk and the reward. So he wanted to grow faster and build a team that cared about the business. And what better way to do that is than to offer them to invest in the business, right? Because not only do they have a monetary hand in this, they're also investing because they believe in it. So there's also the emotional aspect. So reinvesting your earnings could help compound growth, and shared investment, of course, helps spread out the risk and maybe keep the team strong. So after that, he started noticing discount stores like Ann and Hope and Gibson's were thriving, like absolutely thriving. He wanted to bring the discount bottle to small towns like Ben Franklin. Like not like Ben Franklin, like his Bentonville, but Ben Franklin wouldn't let him cut prices enough, so he decided to start his own independent store. So now he's leaving Ben Franklin. So he saw a future in business, discount retail, and he wanted the freedom to innovate, so he left. This can teach us that we have to learn to watch trends, because some trends, of course, they come and go, but some trends are really here to stay. I see that if it's like a very flashy, popular fad, eventually, especially in this day and age with like social media and everything, trends tend to come and go within like I feel like a month. Maybe not even a month sometimes, maybe like 2, 3 weeks. Which well, I would say this is a good takeaway watching for trends. I would recommend like maybe just like watch out a little bit more and like keep an eye on what trends are going to stay. Cause these kinds of things are becoming very, very rapidly changing. Yeah. So after he broke free from Ben Franklin, he opened his ever first Walmart, since he was unable to use the Ben Franklin name. So he opened the first Walmart in Rogers, Arkansas in 1962. He risked literally everything. He mortgaged his house and property, and his wife, Mrs. Helen, co-signed on all the loans. So she has a lot of trust with him. He chose the name Walmart because it was short and it was cheap to put on a sign. Well, it's a very iconic name, and his last name is Walton, so Walmart makes a lot of sense. So after that, the first Walmart when it opened was very messy and it was also basic, but it offered prices 20% lower than the competitors. Despite its appearance being messy and basic, customers came for the deals anyways, and it proved that price mattered more than the fancy displays. Later on, bigger and nicer stores were opened and the model was refined. So he would go back to his gimmicks like ice cream machines, popcorn machines. I still those gimmicks are very cool. Because if you're going to go to the store, you have to pick between a store that has both lower prices and ice cream machines, and a big store that's branded but it's reliable but has like 20% high rise like normal pricing. I'd probably pick this cheaper store. It just makes a lot more sense to me. So after that, okay, let's catch on this really quickly. So this would be the concept of MVP, or minimum viable product. So it's basically starting to simple enough to where the model will work and to focus on what matters and improve over time. So like starting off with a rough sketch of what you want and then slowly adding in the details basically. So as soon as his model worked, Mr. Sam Walton quickly expanded to other towns, knowing that competitors would soon start to copy him, which yeah, of course, if the business model is working, people are going to copy you. So he kept rolling out new stores to stay ahead of the game. And he wanted to be the biggest and first in small towns before the other people caught up. Because, again, first stores, while they don't always win, they do have a certain advantage because there will be that initial customer loyalty if you compare them to new stores. So let me talk about his business philosophy real quick, because he talks about this. Mr. Sam Walton always credited his success to his associates or his employees, because he likes calling his employees his associates, which I think is really nice because employees just sounds kind of harsh for some reason. I never really liked the sound of that. Associates make it all sound like they're working together, which probably helped with the company culture, which I hear is very important when you go to work for a job. So like you want to choose a company with good company culture, or else you're gonna get like a toxic company culture, which I'm assuming is just harsh employee, like rude employees, kind of that kind of stuff. Um, he believed in his sharing his profits, so we could see that very early on when he was making deals with his associates, with his managers and stuff. He listened to ideas and he made everyone feel like they were part of a team, which I guess they kind of were. Um, his purpose was, if we work together, we'll lower the cost of living for everyone. We'll give the world an opportunity to see what it's like to save and have a better life. He's very focused on his customers on every single page of the book. Cause like he said in the first chapter, $1 cheaper is a $1 saved by the customer. Um, so he knew that happy employees would create happy customers. Cause I mean, have you ever gone into a store where the employees were just really happy and it kind of lifted your mood a bit? I always feel like if I see someone smiling, I'm more compelled to smile. I'm pretty sure that's a psychological thing, but if I go into a store and the employees are kind of standoffish and cold, I always feel a little bit like, awkward. Uh, so it's always nicer to have like more friendly, happy employees. So basic takeaway from that part was he wants to share his vision and take the rewards with his team, which I think, yeah, that pretty much covers what his philosophy is. We can see that he learned a lot from his first story experience. So, here's a few anecdotes I like from the chapter. He flew a lot. He did note that the first Walmart in Rogers wasn't all that great. He did $1 million in a year and a lot more than his other variety stores, which still did $200,000 to $300,000 a year. But he remembered that St. Robert's, another competitor, was up in there in an army town. They were doing $2 million in sales. So once they opened in Rogers, they sat there and they held their breath for 2 years. And then they put some stores up in Springdale, a bigger town near Rogers, and Harrison, a smaller town. So, Mr. David Glass, one of his associates, I believe, he was horrified when he saw the Walmart in Harrison. He said, in those days, word was starting to get out that a guy named Sam Walton had some interesting retailing ideas. So he drove down to Springfield, and then Mr. Sam Walton had bought a couple tracks of watermelon in and stacked them on the side of a walk. He had a donkey ride out in the parking lot. It was about 115 degrees. The watermelons were beginning to pop. The donkey began to do what donkeys do, and basically it was chaos. It was just terrible, as his noted. So that's my favorite part of this chapter, because his ideas, like, he had a whole donkey in that parking lot, which I think that's just a new level of innovation and eccentricity that I probably couldn't keep up with. So, yeah, I think that's it for this third chapter. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Please let me know in the comments, and yeah, have a nice day. This was Biz Chill. I was your host, Nene. Bye bye.